Hey guys, it's Mark and Jared coming to you from Creedmoor Sports. Guys, if you got a Redding T7 press at home and 20 extra minutes, we got a kit that's going to make it work and feel better than it did the day you brought it home.
Hey Mark, I think the Redding T7 press is probably one of the premier turret presses out there on the market.
It really is. We've all got them. We use them at home. We use them here a ton.
But you know one thing that really grinds my gears about this press?
What?
It's just the way this turret rotates sometimes.
Yep.
You know, you rotate that turret, and there's a few things. One is you feel that, and you can hear it. It's just a metal on metal grinding sound. I don't know what it is, but it's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yep.
The next thing that sometimes really bothers me is sometimes I feel like I don't get good lockup.
That's true.
Even the ones that are straight out of the factory, I feel like sometimes they're a little bit loose in the head, you know?
Yep.
And the last thing that I've noticed over the years with using mine, I don't know how many rounds you load on yours, but the hundreds I've probably loaded on mine here, this really starts to loosen up the handle. You get nice stiff from the factory, but probably within the first 1,000 rounds, that's where it loosened up. And that just bugs me.
They get full of dirt. They get grime in them.
Yeah.
I've never met a person yet that cleaned them and oiled them like they were supposed to, and eventually you just wear the contact surfaces out in one.
You really do. So one of the things that we did the other day is we sat down and said, you know what can we do to our T7 presses just to take them the extra mile? Well, mind you, some of our presses, we have everything from a brand new press that has hardly any rounds on to
some we use every day.
It's well loved, isn't it?
It really is.
So we're going to go ahead and we want to show you something we did for the T7 to really going to spice up that T7 press for you. Restore what was basically to factory, if not better than factory in most cases.
This is our T7 upgrade kit. What we done, we took in consideration all the wear points on the press. We had little pads cut out of what's the big fancy word?
It's Teflon.
Oh, okay. Yep. Anyway, it's really slick. We've given you a new spring and a new detent ball. What that's going to do for you, it gives you super tight lockup. Makes the head a little easier to move from station to station, but when it locks in, it's solid. And we got a brass bushing to go under the head to match this distance, and that wears, gives you a nice slick feeling when you rotate your head.
It's noticeable. I mean, we've sat there side by side with a press that doesn't have one of these kits installed, and a press does, and it is a night and day difference most of the time.
It really is. Our wore out press with a kit on it was better than the new one we got out of the box when we put it on. So,
all right. So we're going to take a minute here and show everyone how to put one of these together. It's not complicated. It takes about 10, 15 minutes?
15, 20 minutes if you're taking your time. It's easy to do. It's basically stickers, and me and him are kind of like grade schoolers. We're really good with stickers, and we figure y'all are too, so you'll be okay.
So let's go ahead and show you how to do this. So most of you guys on your T7s are familiar about taking this press head off. It's real simple. It takes a 5/16 hex wrench, Allen wrench, some people might call it. You go ahead and slide it in. Now, I'll tell you what, if you haven't taken one of these heads off before, you got to know something. They can be really torqued
They're
off.
serious about putting it on there. If you've never removed it, especially if you've had your press a long time, get ready for a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, but once you do, you go ahead and just break that loose, and it just comes right out. So we'll go ahead and loosen this up.
Now the pro tip here, and we'll see how he does, is this little ball is under spring pressure. When you take that head up, it may decide to go flying and it may not. It just depends on how your luck's running that day. If it flies off, don't even bother looking for it because it rolled under something and you'll never see it again. And don't worry about it, you're getting a newer, better one in the kit anyway. Yeah. So let's see how he does.
So the way I like to do this, I like to hold pressure down and just slowly ease that head up. And if you're lucky, it'll sit right there on top of the spring.
Yep.
Yeah, it will. So one thing to keep in note, while we got this thing apart here, this is bare steel. And if you're down here in Alabama where we are at, there's quite a bit of humidity. You can go ahead and just put a light coat of oil on here. And that's just going to help protect that steel. I've found that just about everything rusts down here.
Everything rusts, yeah.
So we go ahead and just put a little coat of oil in here, put a little coat of oil in anything that's a bare steel. And a little light gun oil or something will do well, just to help protect that steel. So that's just a side note here. So we take the head off, we're going to set it aside. Note the head comes with a screw and a bushing. And these bushings are actually particular to every head. So if you have multiple of these Redding's heads, you want to make sure you want to make sure you match your bushing, keep that as a match set. So we'll go ahead and set this aside right here. If you notice with this press head off, we have the spring and the ball. So we'll go ahead and just pull this spring and ball out and set this aside here. And we'll do our damnedest not to lose the ball. And then what we like to do is go ahead and just clean the top surface here. Now, A lot of times there's a little bit of oil, there's a little bit of metal, things like that. We want to give a nice, clean, prepared surface for these stickers to stick on.
Some good denatured alcohol, a little carburetor cleaner, something like that. A degreaser. You got to have it perfectly clean when you go to adhere the sticker.
So we go ahead and spray that on. Now this one's already been cleaned, but we got this paper towel. Just go ahead and wipe her off right before we go ahead and put them stickers on. Just real clean. You can even see that that we've had these off. I'm still got a little dirt on this rag here. So get that all cleaned off. And then what we're going to do is take one of these stickers here. Now these are pre-cut stickers. They're real easy to put on. And they match very closely to the casting. Now, some of these castings have a little bit of variation to them, and so they can be a little bit different. So what I like to do is I like to line up the front edge of the sticker and then kind of roll it on.
If you've ever put a screen protector on your phone, it's basically the same thing. Start at the back and just slowly roll it to the front and work the air out of it.
And just working out the air.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, we want to leave a little space in the center here, and that space there is allow those shims to ride in there. Those shims are necessary to preserve the height of the bushing over top of the head. So go ahead and do that. And then the next one here is we got one for the back as well. Now the same thing, you just kind of peel it off the sticker here. Now note that you do have a small little hole. You just pop this punch out here in the middle. Stick that down, put that on, and just center over the hole.
That's the easy one.
That's easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back. We're going to, a little bit later, you can leave it as it is, or you can come back and trim it here with X-Acto knife. There's a lot of variation in these castings, so you're never going to get 100% exact. But if you come back with X-Acto knife and trim off the outside, it cuts real easy. You can do that. Then,
next move, a little side note here. If you get one of the later kits, you're going to have one 10,000th shim in it. If you got one of the early kits, there's maybe just a few left on the shelf, it'll have two shims, two 5,000 shims. Go ahead and use them both. We found that it's going to take both anyway, so put them in now and save having to take it apart again.
Yep. So we go ahead and put these shims on. These shims just kind of fit in that circular cutout there around the main hole there. Now, what you want to make sure is these shims do not ride on top of that Teflon. They should ride just on the steel casting itself there. At which point you've gone ahead and done the hardest part of this whole thing. So we'll go ahead and take the spring and the ball.
Next step, take your new spring, your new ball to tent, put your spring in. Moves maybe make life easier on you is take just a little bit of grease of some kind,
now,
put it in the top of that spring.
This brass wax, right? And, and this makes for a handy little grease. Yeah. So, product placement here. But we've got this little Creedmoor brass wax. I'll just stick some of my heavy hands, stick some right there on the ball. And this does two things. One is that grease acts almost like a mild adhesive. It helps to keep that ball in the spring. So when we put this back together again, it's going to keep that ball exactly where we want it. We're not going to have to chase it down the hole like we usually do. The next thing is it provides that ball just a little bit of lubrication. It never hurts to lubricate any of the moving parts or any of the parts that rotate or wear. Yeah. So we're going ahead and tip this forward. I always like to tip it forward and then tip it back on the ball there. And that captures the ball in the detent and allows that to sit nicely. And then we'll go ahead and tighten this down. Now keep in mind, when we tighten this down, we're not going to do what Redding did. We're not going to tighten it down where you need a huge torque wrench to go ahead and get this off. That is way, in my experience, that's way too tight.
And you'll probably have to get down and kind of guide it in place and look at it when you put it together. But if you're careful and go slow, you'll get it on the first try and you won't knock your ball off and lose it, especially if you put a little grease on it. It'll stay put for you.
So that is the hardest part of installing that kit. So now we got that kit installed. And nice thing I know is immediately a very nice smooth transition from station to station. And you're going to get a really good positive lock up there. And that positive lockup is a product of both that nice ball that we put in there, the nice detent ball, and the stiffer spring.
And that's important for your reloading.
It is. It is. It really takes this press and makes it a brand new press. So we're really happy with this kit. The next thing we're going to do, we just did the hardest part of installing the kit. Next thing we're going to do is install the easiest part of the kit.
All right, guys, now that we got the top part done, Jared's going to show you how to put the two washers in the bottom part of the ram. This is a little bit tricky for him because he's working from behind the press and he's left-handed, but we're not going to hold that against him. First move is take the two nylock nuts off the bottom of the press that holds the ram on. And go ahead and be ready. When you take this pin out, the ram and the handle is going to want to fall straight out of the press unless you've done something to hold it in there. So be careful and don't let it fall out. Now that he's got the bolt out, he's going to take his first washer, start his bolt back in the arm closest to him. Let it come through just a thread or two, just enough to catch that washer and sandwich it between the arm and the ram body. Thread it through on that side. And sometimes it's a little tight, especially if you got a newer press, so you may have to take a ratchet or something and run it in. Soon as you get it in, just let it come out the other side, just another thread or two, just enough to hold that washer on for you, and you can put your other arm on. And it's just, you need just enough to hold the washer, no more, it'll cause you trouble. Slip your arm on, run your bolt all the way through. Start your nylock nut on the other side and start to tighten it up. Now when you tighten these nylock nuts up, run them up tight enough where you take the free play out of your ram handle, and not much more than that. If you just tighten them up super tight, you're gonna ruin your washers and they're not gonna work for you. Just tighten it up until your press has the feel that you want it to have. And once it gets it like he likes it, that's it, guys. You've installed your 2 lower washers.
So that's it. I mean, that's the installation of the kit. These kits are fairly simple to install.
Simple to install. It's easier to do than we made it look like it is. You've got this video to basically laugh at and help you a little bit. But the good thing is we made a great trifold instruction booklet for you. It's got color pictures for those of us that don't read and just look at the pictures. And it'll walk you through it step by step. Take you 15 or 20 minutes at home. It's not a big deal. It'll make a night and day difference in your press.
One thing that I think we really should mention, if you're looking at buying a new Rain T7 press, this is a great way to take it apart, put one of these kits on, and you're going to save a lot of wear and tear in your brand new press. These presses are expensive. They are a premier press, and doing this is just one thing you can do to preserve the life of your asset there.
You'll get a whole new life out of it just about.
Yes. Yep.
Guys, that's it for the upgrade kit. We hope you liked the video. If you liked it, subscribe. That way you can comment. Please ring the notification bell where they know the next new thing we got coming out.
If you think of it, go ahead and check us out at creedmoorsports.com. Mark and I were really under the hammer to go ahead and bring you out some new product. We love to see what you think about it, whether it be this T7 kit or something else that's going to be hitting the website soon. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or new ideas, we'd love to hear from you guys. Go ahead and shoot us an email at techsupport@creedmoorsports.com. That's all we got for you this week. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.